Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another instant deck tech. So today we're heading to Modern to check out a really sweet new take on Spirits. This one brought to us by Caleb D, who recently took this to a 5-0 finish in a competitive Modern League on Magic Online. So congrats to Caleb on building a super sweet deck. A quick reminder before we break it all down, if you enjoy this deck and want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Bant Spirits is built around a lot of the new spirits from Eldritch Moon, but the key package of the deck involves some older spirits, and even a non-spirit. So the most powerful thing this deck can do is get multiple copies of Drogskell Captain on the battlefield. Drogskell Captain is a really good lord. It's 3 mana, so a little more expensive than like the great Merfolk lords, but it is evasive. It's a 2/2 with flying. It gives all your other spirits +1/+1, plus it gives your other spirits hexproof, which means if your opponent wants to kill your other spirits, they're going to have to kill your Drogskell Captain first if they want to do the killing with targeted removal, like lightning bolts and abrupt decays and terminates and dismembers and all that stuff. The thing is, if you can get 2 Drogskell Captains on the battlefield at the same time, they each give each other hexproof, and +1/+1 of course, and then basically all of your spirits are going to be hexproof forever. Unless your opponent can find a Wrath or some sort of sweeper, they basically aren't going to be able to kill your board, and since all your creatures have flying, it's going to be pretty hard for them to actually win the game. So that lock of double Drogskell Captain is just about the best thing you can do in this deck. That's why you're playing Phantasmal Image. It's a 2-mana way to copy a Drogskell Captain. 2 mana to clone something is super good, but Phantasmal Image has the downside of whenever it's targeted, you have to sack it. Well, if you're copying a Drogskell Captain, then Phantasmal Image will automatically be the second Drogskell Captain on the battlefield, which means it's going to have hexproof, which means there's really no downside because your opponent can't target it because it has hexproof anyway, so that annoying trigger of being an illusion isn't really going to come into play as long as you're copying the Drogskell Captain. And then Kira is like the second backup to Drogskell Captain. It doesn't work exactly the same, but it still protects your creatures. Whenever a creature you control is targeted for the first time each turn, whatever targets it essentially is countered. So if your opponent wants to kill one of your creatures with a lightning bolt, they have to target it with something first and then target it with the lightning bolt, so it makes it much more difficult for your opponent to kill your stuff. Plus it itself is another evasive creature. And then we have some of the standard spirits. So Mausoleum Wanderer and Spell Queller, this is kind of the creature counter package. Mausoleum Wanderer is like the juiced up Curse Catcher, has flying, can counter instant or sorceries, or at least kind of like mana tithe them depending on its power or toughness. Not a hard counter, but still a really good tempo play. Comes down on turn 1, and then Spell Queller hits just about everything in Modern, hits uncounterable spells because it's exile, plus it's a 2/3 with flash and flying. It's just a super good card and proving itself worthy of Modern. And then we have some more standard legal spirits. This is kind of the protect our stuff package. So Rattle Chains is a one-shot way to protect your things. It's not as relevant if you already have a Drogskell Captain giving everything hexproof, but you can use it if you only have one Drogskell Captain to protect your Drogskell Captain so the rest of your stuff is hexproof. Plus, giving all your other spirits flash is actually really powerful, can let you do some really tricky things. And then Selfless Spirit is a way to counter, essentially, a Supreme Verdict, an Anger of the Gods, some sort of sweeper effect that's going to wipe away your entire board, plus more evasive threats that can keep attacking. And then a couple of Inoffensive Entry Spirits. Technically, a spirit pumps up your creatures a little bit, just kind of for value. No combo here like in the Malira decks. And then the rest of the non-spirit creatures, we have a bit of ramp or acceleration in the form of Birds of Paradise and Noble Hierarch, just to get things going a little faster. And a couple of Rock's War Monks, which we haven't seen in Modern much lately, but is a pretty powerful effect, is a 3/4 with lifelink for only 3 mana. And then to wrap out the non-land cards, we have 4 Collected Companies, hits every single creature in the deck. You have a ton of creatures, tons of creatures that act like spells, some of the same tricks as we see in Standard, so super good in this deck. And then a couple Path to Exiles. In the mana base, we get the fetch lands, we get some shock lands to fetch up, and then some more dual lands, some caverns to make things uncounterable, a single Gavany Township to kind of pump up the team and close out the game, and then some basics. Moving to the sideboard, more removal in Engineered Explosives to sweep away a bunch of tokens, Lingering Souls, etc., and the rest of the Path to Exiles. Rest in peace to deal with graveyard decks. Dredge is kind of on the rise. A very good card in the meta at the moment. Stony Silence and Quasali Pride Mage deal with Affinity, other artifact or enchantment based decks. You can also hit Pride Mage from your collected companies, which makes it better than a spell based artifact and enchantment destruction spell. And then the second Kira and a couple of negates to counter things. So that is Bant Spirits in Modern. Deck looks super spicy, really fun. Anyway, that's been our instant deck tech for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.